Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
All right, let's welcome our main speaker, and that is Bob T.
Bob, alcoholic. That's good being here, I think. No, I've sat through some, I've got here early and sat through some speakers. And one thing nice about AA is there are contrasts. You could see I don't dress up to speak. Jeff and I were at a meeting last night with that other group, and I can't see any point putting on a tie when I don't normally, so here I am. You get me. Happy birthday to the people who took birthdays. Want to thank Jeff for being the first speaker. It's one of the privileges here is sponsoring and becoming good friends. And I was at Jeff's sentencing. I went to see him in jail. And before he turned himself in, he asked if there were any advice, because he knew I had a vice. I said, yeah, first, before you surrender, go in and shave your head. So he did. He followed sponsor's direction. And so here I am. If I knew that I was going to tell my story in AA, I might have kept a journal or something. But I didn't plan on being here. And and just in the last few weeks, more stuff's come up. And I turned 29 years sober last October, and I still get more stuff comes up. And I had forgotten. I don't know how I forgot this. I started out at 10 years old on glue. I love glue. I don't know why I forgot all my glue days, It's like, they're nothing like, getting a rag and huffing some of that glue, and you get the woo, 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 all the... And then I remembered that I joined my first gang when I was 15, and glue and gangs, and I was reflecting some this week about the gang part of it, because might sound strange, might not. Of course, this is the Marina Center, so I know it won't sound strange. But the gang part was like AA, without the good spiritual part. But I had a place to belong. I had people to belong to. I had people that expressed loyalty to me. I had a group, someplace where I really felt that I belonged, because I didn't ever feel like I belonged anywhere. When I was 9, my mother tried to kill me. Made me feel unlovable. Makes Christmas now really difficult. I'm sure she's been locked up since I was 9, and I'm pretty confident she'll probably outlive me, because she's got that good institutional life, the lights out, 3 square meals a day. And Alcoholics Anonymous taught me that my alcoholism wasn't my mom. And I did that to me. She didn't do that to me. Alcoholics Anonymous taught me how to do a ninth step and go make amends to my mom in the institution. And over the years, I send her money every month to have those little comforts you get, in an institution with a little bit of money. And so like this recent Christmas, I always face this dilemma. I went to the Save-On Lincoln and Rose, went into the Christmas card department, and became suicidal after about 20 minutes. Because I don't know if you ever read Christmas cards to mothers. It really doesn't fit my situation, It's like Mother Dearest and puppies and warmth, and just doesn't work. And, so I'm suicidal and Save-On. And went over, pulled out a blank card, went to my office, "Dear Mom, Merry Christmas," put some money in it and sent it off. And, I'm over 29 years here, I've worked the principles, and I don't know if that pain will ever completely go away, but it becomes bearable. It becomes bearable. And so I'm not a big holiday guy, and the people close to me know that. So I got to spend my favorite way of spending a holiday. I went over to Jeff's house for Thanksgiving with his kids, and because I know they love me and I love them and feel safe there. And then Christmas Day I spent at Two Bunch Palms, which is a place out in Desert Hot Springs where you get massaged and pampered. And it's they're me and Jews. Their Christmas Day at Two Bunch Palms is not, they didn't have a Christmas tree, which was why I went there. So I had a wonderful time in the desert, and here we are. I started on the glue. Started drinking when I was 12. Like Jeff, I'm one of those people, I think, I was born an alcoholic because I never remember doing anything ever socially. I love whiskey. I love Four Roses whiskey. Drank every day. Moved out of the home when I was 13 and moved to Skid Row, downtown L.A. And I really, really liked Skid Row. It was felt safe there. Now it's different today, but back then, in the, long time ago, there were no kids there. I think there are kids there now, but I was the only kid there. So the winos and the winettes looked after me. The winettes particularly always made sure, I had something to eat. And, so I was able to, drink and do what I wanted to do down there, and I felt really safe. They've destroyed a lot of my landmarks. Good old winos always remember the El Rey Hotel. For you nods. Good, right on Skid Row. If it was a good week, I might get a room for one night. And it's one of those places, with the bathroom down the hall. And I remember this noise about 4 a.m. I got up and looked out the window of the El Rey Hotel about off the 4th floor. And I'm looking to the street below me where there's a liquor store. And there are two guys out there trying to stab each other over a bottle of wine. And I felt safe and with my people. It's like, I'm a MacArthur Park kind of guy. And when I think it was probably about 14, I started adding heroin to the Four Roses whiskey. And that combination worked perfectly for me. I'm shooting for numb. I'm shooting for, flatline just before you're flatlined. I don't want to have any feelings, no feelings. And so that combination worked really, really good for me, the whiskey and heroin. I remember getting up in the morning, and wouldn't get out of bed. I'd just turn to sitting position on the bed and pour me some. I love Four Roses for some reason. Would pour me a couple good mouthfuls of Four Roses and down that, shoot a little heroin and start my day. I remember being down at having a little place at Pico Union, and one room, and it had a little ice box in the room, and the light burn out, the bare bulb hanging from the ceiling burn out, and I didn't want to spend the money on a new bulb, so I used to open up the refrigerator door to get the refrigerator light so I could register. And I say that because I was completely happy. I really was. That's all. You give me my medicine. I don't need anything other than my medicine. I don't need no mansion in Malibu. I don't need no nice car. I don't need a car. Give me my medicine, and I'm happy. And so that combination worked for me. And like our first speaker, I started having behaviors that are not approved of, and ended up getting convicted of, got arrested for 46 counts, convicted of 16 of armed robberies with a sawed-off shotgun, and every one was a Vaughn's Market. And that really demonstrates that I really am an alcoholic, because the first Vaughn's went so smoothly, just another Vaughn's, another Vaughn's. So it got me about 3 counties worth of Vaughn's, and they really, really do get upset when you behave that way. They really do, and they sent me to a place up on the bay in San Francisco, and I drank that Pruno. I drink, a few ounces that penitentiary Pruno, and I'd have to use the walls to walk. That stuff would just get you. Right, Freddie, boy, that stuff would get you hammered, man. And I'd take whatever was on the yard, most of the time swearing never to take it again till somebody had something again, like these flying A's. This really dates me, and this is really for the older junkies, because I know there are a few of them in the room. We used to smuggle in these tubes of Wyamide, they're nose inhalers, and then you break them open and pull it up into a syringe and fix it. And it's a weird drug to do in San Quentin because it's speed. So, clean your cell a lot, You're up for days, it's like, and it makes you horny, So oh well. Before another meeting. And I had a lot of anger issues, a lot of anger. Was an angry person. So I fit in real good there. Got the right gang affiliations across my chest and did what you do there and felt comfortable. Had no beef with it. I had my little deal going on. When I know I've really been sober too long, one time I said my roommate. But had a cellmate. We got along really pretty good, He was also angry. And he was an officer in a group, and had carried the title for boxing in there. And And I tell this story because to me it's like, who would have thought? Because like Jeff and I get together a lot and we think like, who would have thought we would still be here after all this time? And so this guy who was my cellmate was the one that kind of got me to these rooms years later. But that guy's a guy named Danny T, who I think just celebrated 35 years or something like that. And Danny, you could, when he's the speaker here, I think NASA or somebody's going to get him to speak soon. But so you could ask him when he's done what happened, because it's not my place to say. But Danny got taken away to Folsom for bad behavior. You can ask Danny about it. But so I figured I'd never see Danny again, you know. And years later, I get paroled. I don't bother seeing the parole officer because why? I mean, they're this special group of parole agents looking for me. And their nickname is PAL, P-A-L. It sounds really nice. PAL's looking for you. Your PAL's looking for you. I see there's some recognition of PAL. PAL's this special group that looks for parolees at large who are violent offenders. And this is not the group that comes to your room and goes, Mr. Timmins. It's not that group. So, you know, I'm on the run, ripping and roaring, and I run into Danny, and he tells me about you guys. He'd come to you years before. Said, why don't you take a break and come stay on my couch? So I figured I have nothing else, take a little rest, you know, so I went and stayed on Danny's couch, you know, and Danny started taking me to you guys. And I was attracted a lot at first because, see, I thought I was way, way too damaged, you know, for this to work. I was really happy for all of you. I really, truly was happy for you. But I just knew I was too damaged. I was too dirty, just too dirty and damaged. But Danny kept taking me to meetings, and I saw the laughter. I saw Danny laughing. I saw other people laughing. There was a lot going on in AA in 1975. You know, a lot of sober dances and barbecues, and any excuse for us getting together would happen, you know. And I got dragged along to that, and so it's kind of as I was waiting to leave. I'm at a meeting, and Danny took me over and he introduced me to this redheaded guy, and said this would be a good sponsor for you. And I said, yeah, right, Danny, you know. And so Danny asked Eddie to sponsor me, and Eddie said yes. And so they closed the deal and shook my hand. So, Danny jumped me into sponsorship. And he jumped me in really well because the guy's name was Eddie Cochran. And Eddie died with 48 years clean and sober. And he was my main man. When he died, Jeff and another guy sponsored took me to his service. And Eddie knew he was dying, so he told his wife, who's in the program 40-some years, you know, that he only had one request to make because he knew people would get together. And I followed that request. What was it, February, March? It was rainy, gray, cold day. This big AA memorial for Eddie Cochran. And all of his babies, all his sponsees, we all wore really bad Hawaiian shirts because that was his request. And that was his way of saying, hey, lighten up. You know, lighten up, you know. And Eddie's with me every day. I think of him every day. I mean, he's inside of me now. He's here every day, you know. Always. So a lot of those other guys that I ran around with meetings when I was new, like a guy named Mike Ross and another guy Norm Alpe, another guy named Eddie Regan. They're all with me right now. Physically, they might be gone, but they're with me right now. And and I was fortunate to get jumped in with Eddie because he, for those of you who didn't ever hear Eddie Cochran speak or know him, he was a happy alcoholic, and I'm the angry, depressed type. So it was like a perfect match. My favorite story with Eddie, I was about 4 or 5 months sober. We're on our way to a meeting. I turned down his car radio. I say, Eddie, I need to ask you something. You got to promise not to tell anybody. And he says, sure, kid. And I said, no, you got to promise. And he said, okay, I promise. I won't tell anybody. What is it? And I said, Eddie, it's about sex. Eddie, I don't know if I like boys or girls or dogs, but, having these feelings I haven't felt before. And he looked over at me and said, no, thanks, I'm happily married. And that's just the way he always had a way of taking all my heaviness out of it, And he called me precious, So just in a few minutes, 29 years and change, it's been just a lot of growing up. It's been a lot of grieving, a lot of losses, been a lot of joy. The joy I get is from people like Jeff. The joy I get is from the men I sponsor and the friends I've made here. The joy I get is Nasser. This is what keeps me going. That's the gasoline that kind of runs my engine, and I traveled all over the world many times, go to meetings wherever I am. Been to meetings in bomb shelters in Tel Aviv and back rooms in Guatemala, and just, wherever I am, I go to a meeting, and I kind of do this thing, not ego, but out of God's grace that the Creator allowed me to get sober and allowed me to do the things that I've been able to do in my sober life. And one of those is doing all of this traveling. And so I do this thing, I call it check me out. So I'll be like walking down the street in Barcelona, Spain. She's my frequent flyer lady there. And and I'll get away from who I'm with and go for a little walk and kind of go, wow, check me out. I'm in Barcelona. This is pretty cool, Check me out. I'm in Moscow. This is like my favorite check me out was I was flying with my clients over the Alps. It was about 4 p.m. on a private jet. And it was a beautiful sunny day, and I was looking out the little porthole of the jet at the Alps. And I thought, this is like really beautiful. This is more beautiful than any movie I've seen it in or postcard. This is like really beautiful, the Alps. And then I remembered that movie Alive, where they crash and eat each other. So I got in the fare, and I quietly started looking around the plane. Bunch of skinny rock stars. The security guy, he looked like he could be edible, but, and then I let go of the fear, just kind of let go of the fear, and, kind of did what we've learned to do in AA. Says, well, okay, if the plane crashes, the plane crashes. And meantime, I went and looked out at the view again, and I went like, check me out. Check me out. I'm flying over the Alps. The only time I ever traveled before getting sober in Alcoholics Anonymous was on this gray bus. And they don't ask you if you want anything to drink, It's just so just a lot's happened. I Also getting older, you know, I notice now that the hair grows quicker out of my ears than on my head. You know, let's see, what else have I noticed? Something I thought that would never happen to me is if I can't have sex conveniently, like at the time of the day that I want to, I'd rather have a bubble bath and go to bed. You know? Aging is a weird thing. I mean, not unlike a lot of people in Alcoholics Anonymous, for some years now, I've battled with some health issues, and, you know, comes and goes and comes and goes, and hang in there, you know, and get angry about it from time to time and resurrender. And little moment of clarity God gave me some years ago when I was driving. At that time I was on the liver transplant team, and they were with Cedars-Sinai Hospital. And who took me into the team will be the person speaking here at 9:30 tonight, my friend Dallas, and who took me to his team. And so the team moved. They got in some fight there at Cedars, so they moved to St. Vincent's. So I, of course, went with the team. And for those of you who don't know, St. Vincent's Hospital is across the street from MacArthur Park, kind of God's sense of humor. And so here's me. I'm driving down there at the time in my new high-end Mercedes-Benz to see my doctors, and I'm just whining all the way. Oh, I don't want to die. I'm scared. They're going to hurt me. You know, I don't like the nurses and the doctors, and they never tell me nice stuff. And I'm just whining. And then to pull into the parking lot at St. Vincent's, you have to go right by MacArthur Park to pull in the parking lot. I'm going, check me out. I got it over here. I know that. That's, you know, I got what's wrong with me right at that park, you know. And I'm pulling in my Mercedes with a great Class A health insurance plan, and they're going to take care of me, you know, so quit your whining, you know. So, and that's been really good. I've, you know, I've just been hanging in. I'm waiting for that next thing to come along to get the spark going. It's been, I'm amazed, you know, I'm amazed of the miracle of Alcoholics Anonymous in my life right now, because I don't want to be here, haven't wanted to be here for a number of months. Probably think about suicide daily since probably about 4.5 months ago, when I ended up in the emergency room for 5.5 hours. And I remember just saying, I'm not going to do this. You know, I'm not going to do this in this trauma room with tubes and crap and all alone. You know, I ended up in Daniel Freeman's emergency room, and, you know, when you're in there, I don't want to like scare off newcomers, because that's not what I'm trying to do here, but when you're in there and you've got all these tubes and these strangers running around with all this kind of chaos, you really feel really alone. You know, and I thought about seeing if I could make a phone call to Jeff, and I thought, I'll just, you know, my nature, I'll just kind of tough it out for a while. And, you know, so you know, the truth of the matter is I don't want to be here, and I don't know how long I really want to be here anymore. And I battle with that every day, because I just can't deal with what's going on with me physically. And can't breathe, you know, just having a tough time. But what worked for me when I was new is what's working for me right now. Because what's kind of kicked in is the Nassers and the Jeffs and the other people, the people I have friendships with. So I kind of do that old AA thing, you know, suit up and show up. Didn't want to come here, got here. You know, don't want to go there, go there. You know, don't want to go to my office, go to the office. I just show up. Like Jeff was talking about taking the high road and the low road. Every day I just try to take the high road, which is really, for me right now, is just about showing up and getting to meetings and, you know, working with some new guys, which is the lifeblood for me, you know, that magic that happens, you know, when you see somebody come in who, you know, is a lost soul. And got this one guy, I won't say his name, but a few of you will see him tomorrow at Dallas's, but been coming there about a month now. He's like 20-year-old little gang-banging guy, you know, and he keeps wanting to, like, prove his manhood, you know, and he'll call me up about every 3 or 4 days and say, I don't know if I could take this thing, you know, they've hurt my feelings at the meeting, and, you know, you know, and I, you know, and I said, well, you know, how long sober are you now? And he said, 17 days. And I said, well, listen to me. This is not a 17-day program, you know, and just but I guess what I'm trying to communicate is that he'll say things to me like, if you say so, I'll do it. If you say so, I'll do it. Because he trusts me. And one of the miracles of Alcoholics Anonymous is I trust me. I trust me to do the right thing for this new guy. And so that's what's getting me through right now. And that'll probably get me through next week and, you know, all the rest of it. It's, yeah, I wish I knew what to do, but I'd just go back to the basics, you know. And fortunately, I've learned, you know, you could start the day over as many times as you need to without drinking. Been doing a lot of that. Did that probably 10 times today. Like, I live on a boat here in the Marina, which is very zen, which I like. And like, my phone broke. And that's like, you know, in Alcoholics Anonymous, like, phones are like lifelines. You know, it's like, so you know, and I was really bothered that my phone broke, because that's my lifeline. And I'm thinking, well, you know, it's New Year's Day. You know, you won't be able to go get a phone today, you know. And then I found myself at Good Guys, you know, and then I became overwhelmed because there's a lot of phones at Good Guys, you know, and kind of just grabbed the phone and went home. Now I have a phone, so one thing I've really learned, you know, in 29 years and some change here is that I'm required in order for me to have some sanity to do a lot of stuff here, you know, that all the rest of you do, like work the steps, sponsor guys, and stay involved and do service, and that keeps me out of trouble most of the time. And I've learned here to take the high road, not the low road. I've learned here to kind of not pay attention to the first probably 3 to 4 things my head has to say to me, you know, because that's like the spiritual graveyard for me. Very example is my Yank example. you know, they have these newsstands. You'll notice around here, the free giveaways, you know, next to the LA Times, and one of them's Yank. Now, Yank is escort service. So, you know, I remember I was here one night with Nasser. We all went to dinner. I came back, saw one of those, went home. It was a great Saturday night. I think we even went to a movie, our little Saturday night group, you know, dinner movie after the meeting here. Went home, got up in the morning, beautiful day, got up on the boat, made my cup of coffee, and I thought, what should I do today? My first thought was, Yank. First thought. So I've learned, like, for me, my kind of alcoholism is I got to let usually the first 3 to 5 things just kind of go by. Just watch them go by. Then it starts getting to the good spiritual stuff, you know. Because to me, it's not about, I didn't come here to be a good person. One of the things I love about Danny Trejo, who jumped me in here, he said it back then and he says it now. He says he's going for the quantity, not the quality. And I'm with him. You know what I mean? This ain't about being good or sainthood or, you know. And that's what I'm going for, you know. I go for the spiritual stuff because that's the kind of stuff that allows me to put my head on the pedal tonight and feel right with my world, even when things don't seem so right. You know, that when I live that spiritual high road, where I live in a world, well, what I've discovered here, and then I'll be quiet, what I discovered here is, as a result of working the steps and working with a sponsor, I discovered what my comfort zone is. I know what it is to live between, like, my neck and my belly button and live with complete peace and harmony with myself. I know that. I learned that here. You taught me that here. So then my job becomes really very simple. My job is to live in that zone. That's all I need to do is just live in that zone. I know what's out of the zone. I think we all know what's out of the zone. And, you know, when I was new in my first years, you know, I'd say, that's all right. I'll go ahead and do it anyways. And then I'd pay some price for it emotionally or whatever. So what I've learned to do here is kind of live in my zone. And as a result of living in that zone, I get to go to sleep at night and feel really good about me and my world. I get to feel not separate from you and get to realize that we're all in this thing together. So Happy New Year. Thanks.
I'd like to thank Camille for Chapter 5 and Kelly for the 12 traditions. Are there any secretary's announcements?
I think we got a great talk going on here. Thanks for watching the channel. Taper Dave here. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs, long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst. in one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.